tell you the activities that happen at an altar. Because we have said that an altar is a place of divine exchange. What happens at an altar? Let us assume that your great-grandfather has a shrine somewhere, and it is his altar. And once a month, he takes a goat and he kills it there. Okay? And once he kills it, he does it secretly. Then he calls the family he says, I've killed a goat. People come, let us have dinner together. Okay? So you have no idea that it is an altar. But what happens is that when that altar is raised, when he sacrifices, that sacrifice, that blood that speaks, summons evil spirits. It summons evil spirits who come to the altar waiting to be given their assignment. It's like they come and say, yes, sir, you called. What do you want us to go and do? And at that altar is where the evil spirits are going to be given their assignments. Sometimes they are just called. And when they come, they are told, this is just for you to know that we've got a covenant together. Remember, we have an agreement at this altar. You evil spirits, you're not allowed to touch my children. You cannot touch my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren. You have to make sure that they have got good education. You have to make sure that their marriages are working. And you have to make sure that they are wealthy. The evil spirits say, yes, you have sacrificed. You have done your side. We are also going to do our side. We are going to do our side. And now I want us to talk about familiar spirits. Familiar spirits. What are familiar spirits? How do they operate? Where do they come from? Familiar spirits are spirits that have attached themselves to particular families. They will attach themselves to a particular bloodline. And they'll work undercover in the name of tradition. They will work undercover in the name of tradition. A familiar spirit's assignment is to survey this family line, and study people within this family line of the same bloodline. They know your likes, they know your dislikes, they know your voice, they know your strengths, and they know your weaknesses. They are familiar spirits. They work within that family. And the goal of their assignment is to gather spiritual intelligence that will open doors for Satan. Spiritual intelligence to open doors to Satan. This one I know their weakness. Their weakness is stealing. Okay? So you demons that tempt, go and tempt them. And once they steal, commit that sin, the wall breaks and a spirit enters in. A spirit of theft. They're all within the same family. But now a spirit of theft has already now come into the bloodline. And this spirit of theft, its main aim is not just to stay in the person they have entered. They want to make sure that when this person eventually passes on, they can enter another member of the family because they want to stay within the family line. Familiar spirits, they know the history of the family. They know the history of the family back for generations. Because remember, Satan has been perpetrating year after year, making sure that people are involved in idolatry so that 4 more generations, and the familiar spirits are very happy. That is their bloodline, and they hold on to it fiercely. I know because we have dealt with familiar spirits, and they are ferocious. And they hold on to their host. They hold on to the person because they figure, where else will I go? This is the only family I know. So they know what people's voices sound like. So familiar spirits appear to individuals as their dead relatives. Many times, a familiar spirit will appear to a member of a family as a dead relative, and particularly in dreams and visions. But that was my mom, my late mom. It was her. I know her voice. It sounded like her. The demon studied your mother for centuries, from the moment she was born up to the day she died. Knows how she looks, can masquerade as her, knows her voice, If she was a very harsh person, even in that vision, she was still harsh. It was my mother. Even in the dream, she was scolding me. You see, because familiar spirits, they want to gather spiritual intelligence that open doors for Satan. Okay? And the information that familiar spirits give are used to deceive. They are used to deceive. And a familiar spirit will fight tooth and nail to stay within the same family. And when their host dies, they will try and enter somebody else within the same bloodline. And I believe that many of the evil spirits that fight and scratch, and there are some people when you pray for them, they're trying to scratch you. They hit at you, they try to kick. Most times they're familiar spirits. Because they're saying, there is no way I am going. That is no way I am leaving this family. And that is why you'll hear things like, when my grandmother was dying, she said that the eldest son should inherit the family shrine and maintain it. Or that the eldest daughter should maintain this family shrine, and she's the one who should inherit all the things that I have. And so some people will always tell me, even when we are in the counseling sessions, oh, my grandmother, when she died, all the pots and nyungus, all the pots in her house and the paraphernalia were taken to another uncle's house, because that uncle was supposed to now inherit these things and continue the lineage of these familiar spirits. And familiar spirits, let me tell you another thing that they do. Familiar spirits are the ones that instigate customs and traditions that give them a legal right to stay within the same family. And this they do through rituals. When the family does these rituals, when they continue to sacrifice sheep and goats, it strengthens the altar and strengthens the legal rights of these familiar spirits.